Hi, my name is Harrison Lohman. I'm an associate producer at The Agenda with Steve Paikin, and we're here today with Nayantara Janardhan, who is Chief Operating Officer at Sakha Consulting Wings. This is the nonprofit behind Cabs for Women by Women, which is an all-female taxi service out of New Delhi. I'd like to know, and our viewers would like to know as well, is sort of how a company like Cabs for Women by Women is formed. What are sort of the ideas behind it?
Well, clearly, Sakha is a company that aims to provide safe and alternate travel solutions to women in urban India. And the first city we targeted was New Delhi. And since then, we have moved to Jaipur and Gurgaon. And it was no rocket science. I mean, there was a need for safe mobility for women, and women needed to feel safe in the public space. We wanted to provide a level playing field to women across the spectrum and just make life easier for women and also provide a sustainable livelihood option to women from the resource poor and marginalized backgrounds. So the both came together perfectly. When we launched this service, we were able to provide this sort of a livelihood option for women from the resource poor communities, and as well we were able to provide a service that women in Delhi could use and feel safe and work shoulder to shoulder with men and just feel safe out in the city.
I was wondering if you could explain for us. You have quite a unique sort of hiring process where you pluck your employees. I'm wondering if you could explain that to us.
Sure. So we have a not-for-profit. So I would like to first of all clarify that Sakha is a for-profit organization.
Hmm.
It is a commercial organization, but we are what is termed as a social organization where the profits are not taken out of the organization but are plowed back into the company
Okay.
so as to provide better salary structures, better benefits for the women working in the company. And our not-for-profit partner is Azad Foundation. So Azad Foundation and Sakha together make up what is known as the Women on Wheels enterprise. And Azad Foundation actually mobilizes and trains resource poor women from extremely marginalized communities to become drivers, professional drivers. And after that, Sakha finds jobs for these women. So if you look at it, there are three pillars to the entire Women on Wheels program. The first is the outreach and mobilization program, wherein Azad Foundation's mobilizers go into the communities. And these are the slums and the rehabilitation communities we're talking about in Delhi, Gurgaon, and Jaipur. And they mobilize women to actually come and join the program because women in these communities have never heard, they've never considered driving as an option. And then
How many? I'm just
Foundation.
wondering how many people within India you'd say are actual female drivers. How many drivers on the road in India are actually female?
It's very difficult, but if I were to guess, I would say less than 100.
Mm. Uh,
Well, female professional drivers. Of course, a lot of women drive their own cars.
mm. So when these female professional drivers, when they get on the road, what's the experience like for them when they're in a sort of roads dominated by men?
Well, I can talk about Delhi because that's where our service is tried and tested. We've been in the market for the last since 2009, and we offer two services in Delhi. We offer a chauffeur placement service as well as a cab service. So yeah, I mean, because we have women who are driving in uniform, they immediately stand out as not being the owners of the vehicles, and they do get a lot of looks, they get a lot of stares, they get certain very derogatory comments. Very often, male drivers offer to back their car out of the parking lot or park their car for them. And yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, there are some reactions which are not so great, and they're taught to deal with it. And but I think I mean, if you look at the larger picture, I don't think we've had an issue. It's been a very well received service by the people in Delhi, and yeah, people do stare at them and they ask them like if you're going to be, if like men drivers ask them if you're going to become a driver, what are we going to do? How do we earn a livelihood?
Do,
And
do
these
they
comments do come.
do they themselves feel safe on the road there?
Well, a lot of counseling and a lot of preparation goes into it. So the Azad Foundation training program is about 6 to 8 months long, which is fairly long for a woman to become a driver. But during the course of this program, we don't only teach them a skill set that involves driving. We teach them, we empower the woman in them, and we also enhance the person. So we have things like we teach them self-defense, which is conducted by the Delhi police,
Mm.
and we have endless hours of counseling. We share safety tips with them. We tell them how to keep themselves secure in an environment which is unfamiliar to them. And I think the most important thing is that, yeah, they do. I'm sure every time they start their car and they drive out of their homes at 2 o'clock in the morning or three o'clock in the morning, I'm sure they do feel unsafe or they do feel scared. But over time, once they start driving, once they start getting out there, they do overcome these fears.
Now, you
It becomes a
offer
part of the job.
for the everyday job there. You offer all female cabs, and I know I've heard ideas thrown around in India of all female commando units, which are basically women who are also trained, which would be sort of roaming the streets, providing security for women. And I'm wondering, sort of, to what extent you think women banding together to sort of provide safety from one another solves the problems that are facing New Delhi today.
You know, at some level, it seems like segregation, as in you need to have a women's service to provide security for women. But I think where we are now, yes, we do need to come together. The women, I mean, the thing is, what we firmly believe is that for women to feel safe in an environment, in a public space, you need to have more women in that public space, in that same area. So if I'm a woman and I'm out at 2 o'clock at night and I'm surrounded by, equal proportionate of men and women, I would feel less unsafe than I was if I was a lone woman surrounded by men. And we realized I mean, that's not going to happen overnight, right? So to begin that, you need to have these kind of, women's services, like a commando service by women or drivers by women, or maybe going forward an all women police force in certain areas of the city, just to enable women to step out of their homes and, be there. And that will be like a domino effect.
When you look into the foreign press and you see the label of New Delhi being considered the rape capital of the world, the rape capital of India, do you think it's a fair sort of label? Is that a fair analysis, a fair description?
Delhi has proved time and again that it is, it can be unfair or it can target a woman. And I mean, I will not say that, I will not agree that it's a fair tag to put on Delhi, because I don't think it's a rape capital of the world. I think a lot of crimes against women that happen in Delhi receive a lot of coverage because Delhi being the capital of India, Delhi being covered by, international and national press all the time. And because it has got this tag, anything that happens, any incident that happens in Delhi is very widely reported. That yes, another one, another one, another one. But there are other cities. I mean, there are countless, there are countless rapes and molestations and abuses and crimes against women that go unreported. And so I don't agree personally that Delhi deserves the tag. I don't think any city deserves the tag of the rape capital.
Last April, Indian Parliament passed laws which led to sort of tougher sentences for rapists and for police officers who aren't filing complaints which have been made about rape. And I'm wondering to what extent you think this will solve the problem.
I think I would say that more than the government or the judiciary or the police or the trying to, they're not going to be able to make this change without the people changing. India is extremely patriarchal. I mean, we are a very patriarchal society, and women are still, they're commodities. Women's bodies sell songs, they sell movies, they sell deodorant, they sell cars,
Hmm.
and and because it is such a deep-rooted patriarchy that exists, it would be not enough for laws or policing to solve the problem. It has to be a mindset change.
Just on that point, wondering how you go about changing a mindset when you're faced with such a huge obstacle there. How do you go about changing a mindset?
You change a mindset, one mindset at a time. There is no magic wand which we're going to wave and and people are suddenly going to be, respectful of women or suddenly treat women as equals. So all women in India want are to be treated as equal, and we don't think that, like, the fight or the antithesis of patriarchy is matriarchy. What we feel needs to happen is that, women and men need to work and earn and live and share equal rights and share equal responsibilities and be equal citizens of this country. And I think many countries in the world have this dilemma where women are not given the equal space that the men are given. And yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a slow change. I think it's going to be a change which is going to take the next few generations. And we just, as I told you, one mindset at a time is what we need to do.
Just lastly, I want to ask what you tell women who I'm not sure if they do this, but women who approach you, an average Indian woman, and asks what she can do to help, I guess her fellow other Indian women within the community. What do you tell them they can do to help provide safety for others?
Do you mean women who are already with us? Like women who are already associated with us, who work as drivers or are training as drivers? Or do you mean women just generally from the
Just
community?
generally, women in the country, if they were to come up to you and say, "What can I do to help continue this conversation to increase safety for other women in India?"
Where it's going to be a fairly long answer, but if I were to break it up, I would say that women who live in the communities where, okay, so if you break it up, there is a resource poor and a marginalized community where we deal. I mean, that is the community from where our drivers come, and that is the community in which we work very actively. So if a woman from that community came to me and said, what could I do to make the life of somebody else better, I would just say that you need to form a collective,
Mm.
and you need to be, if somebody is getting battered or bashed or abused or raped or in their homes, you need to go and interrupt it. You need to call the cops. You need to get the authority in. You need to report it. You need to make a noise. You need to make it public. And I would say almost the same for, because what we realize is that this abuse or these crimes against women are not community specific, or they're not like socio-economic structure specific. It happens across. And I think what people need to do is they need to be able to come out and talk about it. Women need to be the support system for other women. In fact, one of the reasons why Sakha was set up is that we could have just done the training and let the women go free and find their own jobs. And one of the overriding reasons why Sakha was set up is to form this collective, because there are all women from fairly similar backgrounds and from fairly similar circumstances. We wanted them to be able to form a peer group, to form a community where we reach out to each other. And always, if there are 10 voices, it's always louder than one. So we wanted them to be able to provide that, network wherein there are 10 voices when they're going and approaching the police, approaching the, legal system, approaching the government, or even against violence.
Nayantara, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us.
Thank you.